First of all, congratulations on the renewal of Dutton Ranch. Are you excited about season two?
I mean, so excited. It was one of those things in the back of your head where the show has had such success, which I'm so grateful for, but there's always just that little thing that you're just like, please just renew it. Please just like let us know that it's happening. But yeah, I could not be happier. I'm so excited to go back and see everybody and just continue this story.
What was your favorite episode to film this season?
My favorite episode to film. Hmm. That's a really good question. I think that it was really fun to do the 10 pedal stuff for the anniversary party, only because on this show, there's so many different characters and so many different storylines that it was the first time that we were all together on set. We'd all kind of work separately together, but being kind of one family unit, we were also filming until probably like 4 or 5 in the morning. So you kind of have that 2 a.m. happy, giggly, slap happy moments that some of my favorite memories are just from us hallucinating from being so tired. But no, that was really fun to film that entire episode.
Yeah, and it's interesting Oriana's relationship with her dad. It's especially as we see it in episode 7, like you see she has a lot of love for him, right? Even though he's the most like dangerous character in the show that we've seen so far. And she really has a complicated relationship with her grandmother. So what is she feeling about those two relationships at this anniversary party, especially when her dad gets announced as the successor to the ranch?
I think it's complicated. I think for Oriana in general, she's a character that has been given everything her entire life on a silver platter. And she wants to rebel against this generational trauma. I think that growing up, she wasn't raised with her mom. So she has Beulah, who is her grandma, who is obviously a powerful woman, but I think that she's always trying to pull love out of her. It doesn't come easy, even with her sons. And then she has Rob Will, who is a yes man. And I think that they're better friends than they are father and daughter. I don't think that he likes to tell her no very often. But the apple does not fall from far from the tree, and she's been raised with these examples that are so far on either side of the spectrum that I feel like she's always had a hard time figuring out where she falls on that line. Um, but I do think that she like most toxic relationships, it doesn't just have to be romantic relationships. There's a manipulativeness that comes with her father. So I think that she's always just trying to figure out if what he's saying is genuine and if he's going to be there for her. It's a family where you're having to fight for love in many different ways. Even, I mean, specifically Joaquin, even the dynamic between Joaquin and Oriana is interesting. So I think that she's happy that her father's happy. And I do think that there's a part of her in the back of her mind where she kind of felt like if Joaquin got the ranch, then there would be no possibility for her to be able to take it at that point, at some point in her life. So I think that there's always that little bug in the back of her head where she's like, okay, I want to keep my options open. So I do think she's happy when Rob will take succession of the ranch.
So you think that it's not necessarily that she wants the ranch in the future, but she doesn't want to lose that chance?
I think she just wants to keep her options open. Oriana's a very smart girl. And I think that she's also the type that changes her mind every single day, even with relationships and every aspect of her life. She likes to make sure that nothing's ever too permanent. So I think she's definitely a character that's always thinking a couple steps ahead. So by Rob Will having the ranch, I think it definitely just puts it into a position where if she were to change her mind tomorrow, then it'd be a much easier grab.
Yeah. What similarities do you see between Joaquin and Oriana, if anything?
Well, something that we didn't really talk about season 1 is that Joaquin and Oriana both went to the same college and graduated at the top of their class. They're both very smart and they have this business mentality. And I think the biggest connection between those two characters is this feeling of neglect and this feeling of wanting to be loved. And it's something that you see through Joaquin's character every single episode, and it's heartbreaking. But I do think that Oriana feels that as well, that she is told who she has to be. She's told what she has to do. And Joaquin kind of takes it because he sees the bigger picture. And I think that Oriana, just being young and rebellious, is trying to create a different path, but she just kind of goes about it in a very Rash and hard and abrasive way.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned her mother. I'm very curious about her mother. What do you think her relationship to her is? Do you think that's something that could be explored in season two? Where is she?
I know, I can't say though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. Uh yes, I do know. This show was such a blessing. I think as an actor, you sometimes have to create backstories for your character internally because you don't necessarily know exactly where they came from. But on this show, we were sat down with some of the creatives behind the show, and they gave us our family history going back to the 1800s. So I do know where Oriana's mom is or was, or I don't want to, I'm like trying to put it in my mouth so that I'm not giving anything away. But I do think that that's probably something that's going to be coming out season two, which I'm really excited about.
I mean, especially if she's going to be becoming a mother herself, right? I imagine she'll be thinking about her mom.
100%. And I think that that's probably one of the things I'm most excited about for season two is just seeing how motherhood changes Oriana. And definitely, especially with her dad being raised with somebody who has made so many mistakes, I think that that kind of scares her about going into motherhood. And in episode 9, the conversation that Rob, Will, and Oriana have right before the very traumatic thing happens, I think that that's the first sign in the back of her head where she sees her dad so vulnerable, and I think it puts her into a different mindset of, okay, I think I can do this after seeing that her dad is also a real person. Because I don't think she sees that vulnerable side of him very often. And she doesn't see that he doesn't necessarily love the ranch more than her. He just feels like it's something that he has to maintain in his bloodline. And I think that she really relates to her father in a very impactful way in that scene.
Yeah, and that's like part. It's like the real moment of connection for them, and then it is over right after that. It's very stark.
Yeah.
I wonder it before this moment, was she considering if she wanted to keep the baby? What was her thought process about this?
I I think that she's young and she is driven, and I think that, I mean, it's an interesting family dynamic because Beulah, I mean, in this season you see Rob Will's origin story. Um and then Rob Will obviously is a younger dad, so I don't know if she's necessarily in the mindset of should I keep the baby or should I not keep the baby at this point. I think that she's just trying to come up for air. And there's this moment when she goes and sees Carter for the first time, uh, that I think that she's so driven and so mentally focused on what her life is going to look like and who she is as a person that she decides not to even tell Carter in that moment, because that kind of felt like it was going to be a second that she was going to mention that she was pregnant. But I think that she just is trying to figure out what she wants out of life, and I'm very curious to see how that's going to play out season 2.
Yeah, especially with the events of the finale as they play out. Like Carter's been kidnapped, her dad's been murdered. She's pretty much only got Beulah on her side now, so it's
Another two
shifted
in the
landscape.
Taylor Sheridan universe.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And do you think, I mean, of course, there's lots of drama and conflict to come in season 2 because of where it ends with Carter and everything. But assuming he's okay moving forward, do you think that Oriana and Carter have what it takes to be like a long-term couple like Beth and Rip?
I do. I do. I think that one of my favorite parts of Beth and Rip's relationship, and I think it's why people love them so much, it's that they're yin and yang, and they're so opposite, and I think that opposites attract. And I do think that going into season 2, especially with, I mean, whether or not she keeps the baby or not, losing her father is going to change her life completely, and I think it's going to shift her entire perspective on life. I mean, what happens to her is probably the most traumatic thing that could ever happen. Um, and I'm just very curious to see how that develops and has her grow into who is now a completely different person. I mean, when something like this happens, you're never the same again. So, if I'm talking about the relationship between Carter and Oriana now, I do think that they have what it takes, but I'm not sure who Oriana is going to turn into after this traumatic experience has happened to her.
Yeah. Do you think she'll lean into her relationship with Beulah?
I
Of course, it's all
I
speculation because we don't know what the season plot will have in store. But just as
yeah.
like the actor playing the character, do you think
I
she'd want
think
that?
I mean, I think it's really going to depend season 2 because I think that for Oriana, there's two ways to see it. It's Oriana has this like built-in resentment towards the ranch, so I think that there's a world in which Oriana resents her grandmother because I don't think that this would have happened if her dad wasn't associated to the ranch, especially after finding out all of the dark underbelly elements that have been happening for years. But then I also think that there's a world in which she becomes super close with her grandma. So I'm really excited as a fan of the show and a fan of the Yellowstone universe to see kind of what they're thinking. I personally don't know, so I'm excited for that. I just want them to start sending us scripts so badly. I have such a hard time waiting for stuff, and being a fan of the show, I felt like every week that I had to wait to watch the episodes was so just like I was so pissy about it, and having to wait for scripts on the show is 10 times even worse.
So you learned about Oriana's pregnancy and what happens to Carter like when you got the finale script, or was this something you were informed of originally?
There were definitely conversations and speculations. I think that there were a couple storyline changes throughout the season, and the show kind of developed as we were filming. So I didn't know what route the ending was going to take. So I didn't know for sure anything until reading episode 9. So it definitely was like 100% confirmed after I read that last script. But before I kind of heard talks, maybe, maybe not. But there's like, I think that I probably heard 10 different things. So I'm really happy with how a 9 turned out. I think it feels like an action movie. It just shit hits the fan in so many different ways that reading it on the page and then seeing it on TV, I just watched it last night. It just came to life, and I was sitting there on the edge of my seat because also there's so many exciting elements that happen that I obviously wasn't there for filming. So seeing it kind of be brought to life, it was awesome. It was really, really cool.
Yeah, the Mariano of it all was really cool to see and find out like the true full operation of what's really going on at 10 Petal. Did Oriana know about the depths of this? What they were doing with the cattle?
I am not going to say yes or no. I am going to say that Oriana is a very smart girl, and I think that she is able to put a version of herself out to the world that she wants people to see. She's manipulative. So I'm not going to say whether or not she knew or didn't know, but I do know that she's a very smart character. But we'll see. We'll see season 2. I don't want to say anything that that is kind of revealing. Also, things change too. So,
Yeah.
but no, I think that Oriana is a lot smarter than people give her credit for.
Yeah, I mean, she comes from a savvy family. Some of them might be bad people, but they're very smart. Or maybe just they do bad things, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So working with Annette Bening, Kelly Riley, all of this troupe of actors, how did that change you as an actor?
I mean, I genuinely, especially on the show, I mean, for me as an actor going to set every day, I feel like I learn something new anytime if I'm working on the smallest project, the biggest project. But growing up, I was always homeschooled, and my mom homeschooled us, and my 2 younger sisters are actors, and my mom's an actress. And my mom obviously knew that this is what we wanted to do growing up for the rest of our lives. So it was really important for us to be educated in classic films, and some of the best movies in the entire world have Ed and Annette in them. Seriously, like some of my favorite movies of all time. So being on set with them, it's not necessarily advice that they give or words that they say. It's just the way that they handle themselves and the process that they go through developing their characters. They're so passionate about what they do, and it is shown in their body of work. And they're so kind and calming, and just have such great perspectives of life and making their characters relatable. And they give every scene 100%. There's not a single line that goes untouched, or there's not a single moment that they don't think about so deeply. So just being able to see that process and see the wheels turn it has taught me so much. It genuinely has taught me so much.
Yeah, and of course, you're a producer as well. You have your upcoming film Halloween store coming out, and I wonder what if you had any conversations with like Kelly and Cole, about, who are also executive producers on Dutton Ranch, about that balance of being a producer and an actor.
That is definitely a conversation that I'm going to have with both of them. That is not a specific conversation that I've had. When I came to Dutton Ranch, we had already filmed Halloween Store back in February of last year. But for me, moving forward, I'm already in the process of developing and producing a couple other films right now. So I think that I need to go to the greats because they know these characters so well and they care so much about the show. There are so many actors that will slap their name on as an executive producer and kind of come to set and just have the credit. And they could not be more opposite. They do not just care about Beth and Rip. They care about every single relationship dynamic in the show and making sure that it works as a whole. The amount of time and care that they've put into this show is remarkable. And they're so passionate about this world, and especially making sure that for this show that we weren't damaging the integrity of the first one. And as a fan of the Yellowstone universe or just of any franchise, that is my least favorite thing, is when you kind of start messing with the original. So just seeing their perspectives and knowing how well they know this world and the ways that they've been able to build a new universe without damaging the first one. Yeah, I mean, honestly, season 2, that's going to be my first sit down with Kelly, is tell me how you do it, because she's an incredible producer, and Cole. Sit down with Kelly and Cole. I'm just like learning things every day, like you said.
Tell me a bit more about Halloween Store and what it's like for you to balance that producer actor responsibility.
I mean, this was my first time producing a film, so going into it, I did not realize how many different elements there were going to be and how many different obstacles there were going to be to cross. But producing is something that I've always wanted to do. For me, I love developing characters individually. So being able to kind of develop this story from the ground up is something that I've always kind of had in the back of my head and wanted to kind of explore. But when this script was brought to me, I, from day one, put together the entire cast and kind of did rewrites on the script, and we figured out locations, and I was the one that was part of developing the masks. So creatively, it's been probably one of the more rewarding experiences that I've had in my entire life. And in a business mindset, I've learned so much, and I already had the biggest appreciation for any single crew member, but seeing how much work goes in, because you don't really get to see how much precision there is as an actor, because you walk in to a built set and you just don't realize how much time and energy goes in. And I had an idea, but it's just insane to see how many people it takes to put together a film. So I'm so happy with it. I'm the biggest horror fan of all time. So my first movie that I produced, for sure, I wanted it to be horror. And we have Kenan Thompson, who is a comedy genius. He's one of my really good friends. So he decided to come on and be one of our executive producers. And then my other really, really good friend is Steven Schneider, and he's made some of my favorite horror movies of all time. So we're working with such a dream team, and I cast all of my best friends who just happen to be very talented. I would have been screwed if I had untalented best friends. But no, it was such an incredible experience. And just seeing the response to people who have seen it thus far has been so rewarding. And yeah, I'm just really grateful for the experience and for people to finally see it.
Yeah. When's it coming out? Is there a release date out for it?
We do not have a release date, but I'm hoping October, but there's no official release date yet.
Yeah.
But we just had our trailer release, so you can see the trailer. Yeah.